Hey everybody, welcome to I'm an Adult. I'm your host, Destin Legary, with my good friend, my co-host, Mark Medina.
Hello everybody.
So, don't forget you can support us on patreon.com/I'm an Adult. Thank you so much for stopping by. Mark, what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about cars.
Yeah, we're going to talk about cars. We're going to talk about good stuff. And we're going to talk about peanut butter.
Okay.
Really the finer things in life.
Yes.
So let's start with the very first topic, and that is the fact that your car broke down.
It did.
About a week ago. So what happened? You've been having trouble with your car forever.
Yeah, so basically we live 30 miles from San Francisco, which is where we work. Yeah. So that puts a lot of strain on your car driving back and forth every day.
The commute's the best thing ever.
Right. We carpool because we have a subway system here called the Bay Area Rapid Transit, and none of us like it. We all rode it a ton, and we're over it. You rode it for years.
I remember when you started, you're like, "Man, I love BART. BART's not so bad. It's so great." I'm like,
It wasn't bad. Like, I don't know. Like, there was something about it. Like, I didn't mind. Like, I was watching a lot of TV when I first moved up here, and so I was getting through like so many shows, and now it's like it's so much harder to find time for that. Carpooling is not really any faster. Sometimes it's actually slower. Yeah. But there's something different about like riding in a car with like four of your friends, and like you like work on the way to and we just do all sorts of stuff.
I'm pretty quiet. I'm a workaholic, so I will work a lot during our commute.
Yeah. Well, it helps like when we're driving in, our job, we check email. And so like I'm on my phone checking email and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. There's something about the BART. BART's mostly tunnels. Yeah. So you don't get a lot of signal anyways, and you're with a million people.
Really, the car ride's about hanging out though and talking with you.
Yeah. And
one of the problems was your car kept overheating.
Yeah. So the issue is you get stuck in traffic so much that it's a lot of wear and tear on your car, especially coming home. We live kind of like up a mountain from San Francisco, and so it's a lot of just like uphill climbing. And so the car had nothing but trouble since I moved up here.
It's wonderful.
It's so great. And so it kept breaking down. Check engine light kept coming on. I'd take it to a shop and they'd get fixed, and then it would come back on again. Well, eventually they called me and they're like, we're gonna keep this until we figure it out. They called me the next day and they're like, it's pretty messed up.
It's busted.
It basically was like, it's got a blown head gasket, basically. Yeah. In layman's terms, that's what it means. It's like warped. So, $3,000 to fix.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I can get that fixed, which is difficult to afford, or maybe it's time to look into my options.
Yeah. So the car's an 08, but it's got almost 200,000 miles. So like,
okay.
Yeah.
So segment intro. This is apparently how leasing a car works. Mark, why don't you tell people?
So from what I've learned, basically how it goes is you put down some sort of down payment. You get approved, and once you're approved, you put down some sort of down payment, depending on the car. Like I'm looking at like cheaper cars. It's like most people, especially in the Bay Area, drive BMWs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Most of those are leased because they're like $80,000 cars that real people can't actually afford. But leasing is so cheap that that's what most people do. And so you can put like I said, $1,000 to $3,000 down, and then you're looking at getting at this moment like a 2017 for like $200 a month, which is insane. Like that's like a $35,000 car for $200 a month, putting only $1,000 down. Like that's really good. It comes with so many stipulations, which is you're only allowed to drive it like 10 to 15,000 miles a year, and
10 to 15 miles.
10 to 15 miles a year. 10 to 15,000 miles a year. You have to give the car back after 3 years. You're not, it's like renting an apartment. Once you're done, you move out and that's it. You don't get any of that money back. So
sounds like a bad idea to me.
It is. There's a lot of.
It is.
Yeah. There's so many pros and cons. There's so many like the worst part about it is the fact that it's like you're putting money into something that you yourself would never be able to sell, right? But at the end of the day, like I spent $12,000 on my car when I bought it, and I'm now gonna sell it for like total. I will have spent like $12,000 or $13,000 on my car. I'm gonna sell it for $2,000. So like, where did any of that money go, anyways? Yeah. It's gone no matter what.
I'm embarrassed to admit I bought my car at a used car dealership with a credit card.
Really?
That's how I had to pay for my car because...
You just paid off a credit card? You didn't have car payments?
So, believe it or not, Mark, the video game industry in Texas doesn't, especially the media side, doesn't pay the best.
Doesn't blow up.
Yeah. So that's, I really needed a new car. My old one was just, honestly, I should have fixed, I had an old 94 Toyota.
Okay.
And I actually love that car. And I had to sell it and I traded it in. And then I went through this whole scam thing where I had to contact a Better Business Bureau. That's a whole separate, how to contact a Better Business Bureau.
I can't wait for episode 40 where we get to hear that story.
It was a nightmare. And the guy went out of business shortly after all this happened.
You did it. You put him out of business.
Yeah, take that, Texas guy.
Sure.
But it sucked. That's still the car I drive today.
Yeah.
It's a piece of crap.
It is.
So what did you decide? You didn't lease the car.
Well, I haven't made the decision yet. That's the issue. So at the time of recording this episode, I'm going this weekend, and we're going to look. I'm leaning more towards buying, which I'm also doing something that I never thought I would do.
Getting a loan?
No, I have a loan. Is buying from a rental car company. So another story is, so when I bought my car, it's a 2008 Dodge Charger. I bought it from a dealership because from what you had heard, it was like, oh, don't buy cars from rental car companies. They were rental cars. Fun fact, most cars at dealerships are rental cars because that's where the dealerships get their cars, is from rental car companies because they're like way cheaper. And so when I bought my Charger, I looked in the glove box, I didn't do Carfax. It's like 7 years ago. And
I do tons of research before I do anything. So
I just want a car.
Except launch a show on Patreon.
There you
go. Just
kidding. And I looked in the glove box and the old registrations were there, and one of them was for like Hertz rental car. And I'm like, so my Charger used to be a rental car. And so we talked to the rental car people, and they're like, most dealerships are going to buy from us. They sell under Blue Book value. And you're getting a 2015 and it's got like 35,000 miles.
That's what you're looking at now?
Yeah, and it's like $1,000 to $2,000 under Blue Book.
Oh.
And so it's something that I think people should look into, and it's I haven't fully made my decision yet, but they work just like a car dealership. You trade in your car, they give you a loan, all that good stuff.
So real talk, what are your payments going to be like a month for leasing versus owning?
So I would assume they're going to be somewhat the same. So basically with leasing, the price I was quoted was if I pay $1,000, I get $10,000 miles a year. My payments would be $250. They would be $200 if I paid $2,000. So that's like a decision you need to make. How much money are you willing to part with to lower the payments? But that's for buying too. If I buy and I'm able to put that same couple grand down, you're still looking at probably $200 to $250. Except for that you own the car and you don't have mileage restrictions.
How long would you pay that much though?
5 years.
5 years for $250 a month.
Yeah, where leasing you pay for 3 years.
And what's the value of the car?
It would be like 11 or 12,000.
Okay.
But like after tax and licensing and stuff like that. Yeah.
So Mark.
Yes, sir.
We lied.
What did we do?
You said the dramatic conclusion would be on this episode.
No.
This isn't dramatic at all. You're like, I don't know what to do.
So what if we were shooting this episode next Monday, I'm pretty certain the answer is going to be
next episode next Monday.
I'm going to buy the car from the rental car company. Like that's what I'm going for.
Just pay it off for the rest of your life.
Just pay it off for the rest of my life. Yes. The problem is I don't live. I live in the Bay Area, but none of my family's here. I like driving home. It's a 3-hour drive, but that's
I like it when you drive us home also. In your huge, roomy car.
Yeah.
As opposed to Brandon's.
We're going to miss it.
Toyota hatchback.
The new car's not going to be as roomy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sad.
All right.
But, I want to be able to go home, and I want to be able to not have to worry about, budgeting miles.
Yeah, to Hanford, which is hours away.
Yeah, it's like 3.5 hours away.
Definitely.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Mark, for your topic. Do you guys have a topic? Hit us up on patreon.com/I'mAnAdult and let us know what it is, or leave a comment below, and we could read it on the show. Speaking of, next topic is actually from Jay Ingram. He said, what do you feel is your biggest accomplishment in your life, not just restricted to work? So, Mark, we'll start with you because I don't know what to say yet.
Oh my God.
What is your biggest accomplishment?
So he says not restricted to work, which
Yeah.
means you can talk about work.
Of course you can.
So I would say
whatever
my biggest accomplishment is it's hard. The thing I'm most proud of is getting married and staying with my wife for it's about to be 10 years in a few months.
Okay.
I got married when I was 19.
Man is very nice.
Yes. We are 28. We are almost 29.
You got married when you were 12. I'm good at math.
We did. And that's when we hit our 10-year anniversary. So that's like... But I guess the accomplishment could be, two young adults getting married and staying together. We're still together. We live up here in San Francisco by ourselves. It's something a lot of people can't really do, I guess. Some people do. But
stay together?
Yeah,
the divorce rates are high, right?
They say just the average divorce rates are high, but it's
My dad was divorced twice. I am not married. Ever. Yeah.
There's just a lot we went through. We had foster kids at one point, and the second we got the foster kids, I moved to San Francisco.
You guys were apart for almost a year.
We were apart for a year.
And that's why you're still together today.
Yeah. I was at my job here in San Francisco for almost a year before she finally moved up here with me. And I don't know. It's tough making all that work, but I went home every day for 9 straight months, every weekend for 9 straight months, and you make it work.
So for you, is it an accomplishment because of the work that you put into the relationship?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely something that you can speak to that you're proud of, for sure. You know what I mean? Getting through this past year, like I said, we had foster kids, and she had kids at home, and this is something we were going to take on, and then I just literally abandoned her. And so it's to keep it together. That was a tough time. And then selling her on the fact of moving, because I'm not really a city person, I love living in, it's why we don't live in San Francisco. It's because I like normal towns and driving and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely, easier said than done, but we've been doing it for almost 10 years.
And how does Amanda put up with your bullshit?
I don't know. I have no idea. Look at me doing podcasts. So we do this at work. Why are we at home doing it?
I've actually known you guys for a long time. I met you back when I moved here 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And you and I were doing website stuff together before that.
We're back.
When I was in Texas. And we're back again.
We did it.
And that's when I met Amanda for the first time.
Yeah.
And you guys were great.
It was a long time ago.
That
was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
I forget about that.
You're supposed to sort of me when you're ready.
Huh?
When you're ready.
Oh.
Back.
But
continue. Continue. No, what about Amanda?
Destin, what is your greatest accomplishment? No, we're good. I'm done. It's your turn. Go ahead.
Well, for me, it's interrupting people, and nobody ever notices.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
Good at it. Spoiler alert, everybody notices.
This is weird to talk about, but for me, I grew up pretty poor.
Sure.
Right. We lived in the country. I lived with my dad. My parents got divorced when I was 5. I don't really remember it. I was a baby. And then we moved into the city, into a trailer, basically in Fort Francis, Ontario, Canada. And that's just where we lived until I was 12, 13. And I lived there. And while I was there, I got a paper route really young. And that's
me too.
Yeah.
When I was 12.
That's how I got my money for comics and video games and stuff like that.
You've seen my Pokemon card collection. That's from my paper route.
Yeah, right. And I have all these Marvel cards. I used to be more into comics. And when I was really young, into hockey, actually. It's Canada. You have to be. It's required. But
that's like saying you're required to be into football because you're American.
Well, you are.
Nope.
So that's where I started, right? I started in a trailer in Fort Francis, Ontario. I had very supportive grandparents. I absolutely love my my grandfather, Roy, who he passed last year. It was 1 year ago, this holiday. And my grandma, Jean Legary, who is 86 or 87 now. And I saw her this holiday. She's actually doing very well.
Sweet.
But yeah, so that's where I started. Then when I was 12 or 13, I made the decision to move in with my mom. And that was something that was a really tough choice as a kid because you got to sign court paperwork and it was really upsetting because like you're basically
So
really
you were
sucked.
like asked, who do you want to go with?
Yeah, it's basically
yeah.
like if you sign this, you can go with your mom. And I'm like, well, this is not good stuff about my dad. I don't really want to sign it.
Sure.
You know, and they're like, well, it's your choice. And then you just sit there and you think about it, and it's like, well, I'm a kid,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I'm
For
like,
sure.
well, I want to live with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed it. I lived with my mom, and it was not great coming home for a few years. Let's just say that because we basically, when we left for that summer, we took all my stuff, and I was just gone.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's part of my path to getting where I am today. That's actually probably a regret that I would have how I handled that.
Sure.
But I mean, I was also a kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then I moved to Wisconsin, start going to school.
Yep.
During the summers, I work building silos. Like, you know where they keep grain in farms and the big, tall, round silo things?
Oh, sure.
Those usually contain grain. So during the summer, I would dig clay holes, basically, and lay the brick, and then build that up. And then with that, you buy new video game consoles, you buy new video games. Eventually, Destin gets older, he goes to college, he's into programming, journalism, psychology, and that's just stuff that he really likes. And yeah, so I start working into that. And then I get a job at UPS, and then I get promoted at UPS. And then I get this huge opportunity to completely divert my path and go into web development.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I started making really stupid internet videos. So around 2007, I started making really, really dumb internet videos, which at the time nobody else was doing. Well, at first it was just like I made a machinima, and it was awful. It's called Halo the Grey Team. And then I made like Out Nerd the Nerd. It was all game trailers at the time.
Sure.
That was like one of the big outlets.
Yeah.
And of course IGN and everything where I work today. And then the thing that finally caught there were two things that finally caught. Weapon of the Week, where I talked about a video game weapon and why it's cool.
Sure.
In a really weird voice. And I started doing a daily news show about video games. Well, I was working 3 or 4 jobs, so I don't know how daily it was. But
Sure.
yeah. So then Screw Attack notices. And they're like, we're doing auditions right now for a news host. This guy is exactly the sarcastic kind of stuff that we're looking for, sarcastic, humorous stuff we're looking for. They hire me, and we do news for 3 years together.
Yeah.
We launched the Armory. We start reviews. I started a news division with the company. And then after a while, we're talking about being broke all the time, right? An opportunity comes along in San Francisco. And I had been here for events and stuff because there's a ton of gaming events here.
Yep.
And I really, really love this city.
Yep.
On a nice day, you know, I go for runs a lot now, and under the Bay Bridge. And
Sure.
when I was here visiting, that's where a lot of the events were. And I remember sitting out there, and I was having a drink, and I'm just like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah, San Francisco's great. The weather is like super unpredictable. Like there are times where, you know, we'll go to lunch at 12 and it's like super sunny, and then we go to leave for the end of the day, like when we used to like walk to BART or whatever, and it's like super cloudy and super cold.
Yeah.
But when you catch those moments, I mean, I like cold, I like overcast kind of weather, so San Francisco's, yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. And you can ask most people who know me and talk to me or have worked with me, they're just like, Destin's a workaholic. Like, he works too much, but if you want somebody to get something done, you go to him.
Sure.
And now I'm in sort of a management role at IGN,
Yep.
senior features producer, and now you're kind of that guy. You're
I'm getting there.
you're the go-to guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, and for me, that's my greatest accomplishment. Just starting pretty, poor.
Sure.
As a kid, and I mean, not poor, not like I wasn't eating or anything.
Right.
Like I don't want to, because if I say I'm poor and somebody's like, dude, I couldn't afford sandwiches. It's to me, I started low and I managed to build myself up into this role that I'm in today, and it's something I'm really proud of in my life. And yeah, so for me, it's career focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the lineage is just kind of the same. You know, there's this running joke at work and in our carpool about it's like Mark hasn't seen any movies, and it's like because when I was growing up, like I watched the movies my mom had, and if she didn't have Ghostbusters or Die Hard or whatever, like I would have watched those movies. Sorry,
Terminator 2.
I tried.
Still haven't watched it.
No.
I gave him Terminator 2.
I got to a certain part and I was like, this is super boring.
They're blowing up the building. This is so dumb.
But no, I totally know what you mean. Where it's like you could totally see your life going a certain way, and then all of a sudden you're just like, nah, I want to do this instead. And that's kind of how it was with me. Is like I met you, and I had already edited videos before, and you know you helped me grow, and just kind of stuck with it. And then 5 years later, 4 years later, something like that, like I got the job at IGN, and
I forget about that.
Yeah,
I forget that like. I launched the Daily DL, and I was just like, "Do people want to create stuff?" You were like, "Yeah."
Yeah, well, I had a good idea. Yeah. I just didn't have like the skills to pull it off, and we worked together, and we figured it out pretty much. I used Windows Movie Maker because I didn't know what I was doing,
and I was like, "Just delete that and get Premiere."
That and I started using Premiere, and it was like my first edited video on Premiere. I was like, "Oh, this." Of course. Of course. And luckily that's what we still use. Yeah. But yeah, you just stick with it.
Way to go, Apple. Final Cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did great.
I mean, Avid's creeping its way in, though.
Oh. That's never going to happen.
I'm nervous. Anyways. But yeah, it's like, yeah, you know, you eventually just make this decision where it's like, I could just work, you know, UPS. You know, I worked at a warehouse before I worked at IGN. And eventually you just make this decision where you're like, I don't want to do this. And yeah, you know, it's a great feeling when you finally get the call. A lot of people, I do streams all the time for the company. And the most asked question is, how'd you get the job at IGN? And it's like, that's how. Like, it takes forever. Yeah. You know, like, it's not something that just happens.
People are always like, how do you get a job in the gaming industry? You work your butt off.
Yep.
And then when somebody comes along with an opportunity, you take it.
Sure.
And you go for it.
Well, and it's you know, it's partially luck.
I agree completely.
You know, it's an in demand, like IGN specifically is an in demand job that
competitive. Everybody does YouTube stuff.
Hundreds of thousands of applications. You know what I mean, for every position.
Yeah.
And it's like one person gets it, so it's tough. But to say your job is an accomplishment, it is because it is something that you work for your entire life to get there. Now that you're there, you're screwing it up, but it's fun.
Speaking of screwing up answers, Mark, final topic for this episode. Let's talk about peanut butter.
Okay.
So, we actually got this question from a fan on Twitter. Arth Bane says, peanut butter.
Yeah.
Smooth or chunky?
Those are the only two options?
Yes.
What about liquefied?
No, it's smooth or chunky. Those are the only two. I genuinely want to talk about your choice, and you can only choose one, and it's the only one you can have for the rest of your life. And if I ever see the other one, you're dead. No. Why is one better than the other? I'll let you answer first.
Okay.
Because I think I know where you're going to go. And
all right, so here's the answer. I know. You already know. So here's the deal. When I eat a sandwich, I like there to be some not consistency. What's the word?
Texture?
Like, yeah.
Gravel?
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So it's like, basically it's like, one of my favorite sandwiches is like a tuna sandwich from Subway, right?
With
but it's
crunchy
like,
peanut butter.
It's like it's gotta have chips on it. You know what I mean? Like,
Chips?
Absolutely. If you don't put barbecue chips on your tuna fish sandwich, you're
the sandwich?
You're insane. You don't put chips on the sandwich?
No.
Oh, dude, the first thing I do is I open that sandwich up, you dump chips in there. I'm not alone. People, you're going to find out.
You're a monster.
No.
Next question. Do you eat sandwiches with chips in the sandwich? No.
I'm telling you, I'm going to start a Twitter poll tonight. We're going to talk about this. Anyways, yeah. So, basically, yeah. So Chunky gives you that built-in texture. You know what I'm saying? The only problem is it seems to like rip your bread apart, and you're like, you're like, forget that piece, and you like try a new one. It's got to be, you know, not super cold.
There are kids in Argentina who would kill.
Yeah, for that piece that I just threw on the garbage.
I have no idea where Argentina is or who lives there.
Right. people who love peanut butter sandwiches.
Apparently.
Hopefully chunky, because that's what they're getting.
The real answer is, and the correct answer is smooth.
Okay.
Definitively.
Sure.
The trick is like
smooth peanut butter, the definitive edition.
yeah. You need a really crisp piece of bread, right?
Preach it, brother.
Yeah, and then you put a little bit of butter on there.
Okay.
And then you
butter.
Just a little bit on the bottom. It has to be hot. So
Okay.
the butter melts.
So hold on, back up. You're toasting the bread?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Wait, when you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you toast it?
Yeah. Have you ever had toasted PB&J?
I mean, yes, but I didn't know.
Amazing.
I didn't know that was the way to go.
We're talking about peanut butter. We're not talking about PB&J. That's a whole different tier of stuff that we're going to get into.
I'm with you.
Anyway, the answer is smooth peanut butter. You put a little bit of butter down, and then you spread the smooth peanut butter on there.
I love that the answer is so good.
You spread it
It's
on there
really
nice
good.
and slow.
Okay.
And you make sure that all the corners are covered.
Sure.
Because you don't want a bite of the bread.
Of course not.
You don't want to even know that there's bread underneath that peanut
Take
butter.
those corners to Argentina.
Yeah,
we want them out of there.
Get them out of there.
Right.
And it's if you put too much on though, then you kind of get the dry mouth thing.
Sure.
So you want a lot, but
Yeah.
not too much. And if you want to elevate it, you know what you do?
Drink a glass of red wine with it.
No. You put a little bit of honey on top of that.
No, that's delicious. No, I'm totally with you.
Yeah. And then,
Amanda the other day, she was like, we need to buy peanut butter, we need honey, and we need bananas. Because then she slices up bananas and puts that on there too.
yeah. So the kitchen's literally right here.
Yeah.
And now I want to make that.
That sounds delicious. Yeah.
Why do you like chunky? What's wrong with you?
So, chunky is the superior peanut butter, is the reason I like it.
Okay.
And it is the best, and you're wrong.
No, definitely.
Those are my reasons.
All right, so Mark, normally this is where we reach into the hat and pull out our truth or dare for the week.
Okay.
But we're just starting out, so we don't have any truth or dares yet.
Okay.
You guys are going to need to help us out. We need you to leave a comment or check us out on patreon.com/I'mAnAdult. And you can submit a truth or dare option for us. We will read out your name, give you credit. And so we're going to start that with the next episode. The show launches once a week. You can support us on patreon.com/I'mAnAdult. And I'm actually really excited about the Truth or Dare segment.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
What if it's a dare where we have to go outside? Are we just going to film it separately?
I'll just get my iPhone and we'll film it outside.
Embed
We'll figure it out.
Embed it in the episode? Okay,
Yeah,
it's fun.
definitely.
The powers of post-production.
The powers of editing.
The powers of editing.
Oh my God.
How is this possible?
One caveat.
Okay.
We're not going to do something like do the whole thing naked.
Right.
Right. Come on.
No gross stuff.
No gross stuff. Be reasonable.
Well, we're going to vet.
Yeah, we'll vet them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, oh man.
What?
We got to figure out, should we pick them for each other? Or.
Oh, man, that's tough. Wait, are we each doing one an episode?
So, let's say we vet the questions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we each do one, of course.
Okay.
So we pick a question.
We should pick one for each other as long as...
Do you get to know if it's truth or dare?
Right.
When you say truth or dare, because truth is the safe one, right? Mostly safe.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Dare is fun. Dare can be something like eat a really hot pepper and review a game. You know, the hot pepper game thing or whatever. I would totally do that in a second. Okay. I would be crying.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for joining us. I'm Destin Legary. You can follow me on Twitter at Destin Legary. Mark, where can people find you?
At Mark_Medina.
Even if you don't check us out on Patreon, thank you so much for stopping by. This is a new initiative for Mark and I starting in 2017.
That's right.
We're committed to it.
Yes,
We're going
sir.
to keep going.
We did it.
One episode a week.
He built this set. Yeah. I changed it to he.
Yeah. Mark,
I
how's
didn't do
this
anything.
looks good. You should put it up.
Contribution is important.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's it for this episode. One more time, don't forget to check us out on patreon.com/I'mAnAdult. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.